Good morning, everyone. I'm Holly. Really nice to be in Australia. So today I'm going to talk about paying for growth, one of the major channels you can think about in driving your startup's growth. Now, a little bit about me. I was born in China, studied Italian in college. Totally didn't know I would work in growth. And I went to US for grad school and studied ever since, learning and growing ever since. I worked at United Nations, US Chamber of Commerce, then went to consulting in A.T. Kearney and Deloitte, then joined a 4-person startup called MySkin. We're making recommendations on skincare products based on machine learning and big data. Then I joined Gucci as their product manager. I figured Silicon Valley is a good place to be, so I joined Google to run their website strategy, mainly for Google Analytics, AdWords, DoubleClick, so managing all of their websites holistically. Then I joined Google Store. At the time, was a stealth project as a first marketing person. I grew Google Store from stealth mode to launching 24 countries globally and led growth there. 2 years ago, I joined Slack to run their digital marketing and growth marketing. If you haven't heard of Slack, it is a collaboration hub for your work and your organization. And Slack organizes all your information and files so you can find the right information at the right time. Slack is the fastest growing SaaS startup in history. So a lot of the interesting learnings from early on. In the last 2 years, for performance marketing, we grew 700%, while decreasing cost per acquisition by 30%. So enough plug. There are many growth strategies you can choose from. You can work on your SEO. You can work with partners to really generate your distribution strategy. You can work on word of mouth and PR. There's so many things you can do. But as an early stage startup, and even though you already found your product market fit, there's still a lot to choose from. So how do you even start thinking about growth strategies? Here's a mental model you can start thinking about where to start to grow your startup. Viral, content, paid, and platform. Viral is when you think about your existing customers will bring in new customers for you. So we're talking about 1x, 2x, 10x, 100x, 10,000x. And this is the holy grail everyone wants to do. And this is your invite flow, word of mouth, social share. So I will talk a little bit more about how you think about viral and when you think about viral. And content is your SEO strategy, your landing pages, your blog post, and really create the type of content where your customers can find you at the right time. Paid is the focus of the talk today. Paid is advertising, hiring your sales force, working with partners, distribution, resellers, and co-marketing efforts. And platform is things like APIs, integrations, marketplaces. So if you are a startup and create an app on Slack directory, you're listed on Slack directory, and you are tapping into the Slack's massive user base, and you can grow with Slack. At the same time, if you become a platform yourself and getting other people to create apps for you on your platform, as they grow, you also grow. So platform is something that's a defensible strategy you can think through. Now, you have the 4 major buckets of the growth strategy. What kind of criteria should you use to think about which strategy you should start from? I think about 3 big buckets: product, resource, and timing of 9 criteria. First of all, the nature of your product. Are you a B2B or B2C product? Are you a gaming or education? For example, for gaming companies, you really should start thinking about viral growth from very early on. Words versus friends. Your product is better with other social users playing. But for gaming, you should start thinking about paid pretty early on because of the competitive landscape. You really need to stand out very early on. Second, audience. Are you a consumer-focused product, or are you a business-focused product? Is it SMB, or is it enterprise? For enterprise product, for example, your content is really important because enterprise products and decision makers, they need to think through how they need more education to really think through why do they buy your products. Product lifecycle. Product lifecycle is where you are in your development. Is it pre-product market fit? Is it after product market fit? If you are at a mature stage, really think through what are the type of growth strategies, for example, using paid as a defensive mechanism. Next, resource. Money. How much money do you have? How much people do you have? What's their expertise? And how much time do you have? Is your competitors really grabbing your market share? And should you use a more aggressive growth strategy to go after them? Finally, timing. What's the macroeconomic environment? In an economic downturn, maybe people are responding better in a discounting and paid strategy. What's the competition? Is your competitors, what kind of growth strategies are your competitors doing? And should you copy them? Should you react to that? And finally, company. Are you raising a Series A? You want to show your company is sustainable in growing? Or are you going public soon, so you want to show a financial health in your growth strategies? So these are all criteria you should start thinking about and how to grow your startup. Now, you have the 4 big buckets of growth strategies. And how do you think about different stages of your company and which one to use? I would think about the different growth curves in pre-product market fit, post-product market fit, and scaling/mature stage. In pre-product market fit, you should really think about viral growth mechanisms. Design viral mechanisms while designing the product. And really think through from day one how people are searching and finding your products and designing your product in that way. Building the content machine, because content it really takes a long time to start reaping the benefits. It's a very long tail, and you need to invest early on, but over time, it will pay off really nicely. And you want to think about creating scalable SEO content and not just one landing page and one keywords. Accelerate with paid. I would recommend really think about using that when you're already finding your product market fit. And this is the stage when you start thinking, how do I really accelerate that growth and really grabbing that market share? And finally, when you're scaling quite nicely, think about your platform strategy. Platform actually requires a lot of investment early on, and it takes a long time to build the platform. But it can pay off really nicely. If we think about, let's say, a Salesforce, why is it such a valuable company? Because Salesforce, as a platform, have all of the other ecosystem companies to build upon Salesforce. So it's really hard to disrupt a company like Salesforce. So these growth curves, they should work together. So I would layer on the different growth strategies as you grow. Now let's deep dive on paid growth. So I already mentioned in growth stage, you should think about using paid for accelerate your growth. But in early stage, you can also use paid strategically. Let's say you're developing something, a product that you're not sure whether it's a file sharing product or it's a file storage product. You want to test the 2 different value propositions and which one resonate better with your audience. When you go on Google, actually search for Google AdWords credit. You can find a lot of $50 credit, $100 credit for free. So you can actually set up your Google AdWords search accounts really easily with these free credits and do some search ads and see how many people are clicking on your ad. And even going to a landing page, it can even be fake and see how many people are clicking on those CTAs. And so based on the conversion rate, you know how many people are actually interested in the type of product you are developing. In mature stage, defend your brand is really important. And luckily for you, at that stage, you already have a brand. So your landing page is more efficient, your conversion rate is better. You're really using paid to defend your brand. Now, one of the most frequent questions that I get asked is which paid media channel is most effective? So the question I ask back is, how do you assign credit to a user journey like this? Let's say someone has seen a Facebook ad, and then they typed your URL directly to go to your website. Then they saw a tweet and thought, oh, that's interesting. They did an organic search and say file sharing software, and they found your website. And then a few days later, they clicked on your brand name and then convert it through a Google search ad. And how do you assign credit to these kind of user journey? So the answer is attribution model. You'll probably have heard a lot of the discussion about attribution model. There's last click attribution, giving 100% of the credit to the last touch point. First touch is giving 100% of the credit to the first touch points. Linear, average credits throughout the journey. So I would say there's no one attribution model that really works fantastically for everyone. You would choose something that you feel comfortable with to start with. One thing I caution is try not to start with last touch, because that makes your marketing efforts to prioritize in the wrong efforts. Basically, brand search is going to be your best looking model, but brand search really rely on any other channels to work. So eventually, after you have enough data, really think through how to build your own custom model that fits your business. Another frequently asked question is, when do you think about running brand ads versus performance ads? Brand ads is advertising that drives brand awareness. Performance ads are advertising that drives conversion to eventual upgrade. So I would say, think about brand advertising from day one, and think about what your brand stands for. What's your brand story? And really prioritize capturing the low-hanging fruit with performance ads. Start with performance ads. Really capture those demands that's already there for your products. And then once you get that solid, then use mid-funnel tactics to really educate and nurture your potential customers. Then the brand ads is when you feel the moment and expand to top of funnel. Brand ads is used typically after your product market fit and really feel that continual growth. Brand can be a dirty word in the marketing world because it's really hard to measure, but there are ways to measure. Using geo-holdouts, using surveys, there are ways that you can measure brand, especially when it comes to offline and the impact to performance. Now, this is what I see is quite important as you grow as a startup, and to optimize towards downstream metrics as you grow. Early on, you don't really have a lot of data on your lifetime value. You don't know how much revenue your user is generating until 2-3 years down the road. So you may have to start optimizing towards traffic, a more top of funnel metrics, and it's easier to get the size of the data that you can optimize towards. But as you grow, as you have more volume, optimize towards users, optimize towards active users and upgrades, and eventually the holy grail is to optimize towards your lifetime value as setting up your growth engine to really drive the eventual lifetime value. You are becoming more targeted as you grow. How much money should I spend? You have limited budget, you have limited resource. How do I think about, am I spending the right amount of money? So LTV and CAC ratio is a benchmark that you can use. LTV stands for lifetime value. It's the average revenue a single customer is predicted to generate over the duration of their account. CAC stands for cost for acquiring a customer. This is the average expense of gaining a single customer. It's typically your sales and advertising cost. So there is a magic number out there. That is 3 to 1. So typically, if you think about your lifetime value and CAC ratio, try to keep it around 3 to 1. This means you are spending the right amount of money, and you have a good business model to actually accelerate your growth. 1 to 1 means you're breaking even. You're $1 in, $1 out, so do not fall below 1 to 1. If you're really aggressively gaining growth, probably think through somewhere between 1 to 1 and 3 to 1. But if your ratio is 5 to 1, that means you're actually underspending, and you may not be totally utilizing your growth potential. Now, building the right growth team is really important as you grow. In early days, especially pre-product fit, I would say try to focus on product growth and product growth focused talent. As you grow to post-market fit, marketing folks becomes more important, especially as you think about content and paid growth. And as you're scaling in the mature stage, sales and BD becomes more important because sales folks can bring in, for example, enterprise deals. BD folks can bring in really interesting partnerships for you to really scale your growth. And of course, the sales BD and marketing folks should work together with product folks and really have the growth as a holistic ecosystem. All right, so final slide, Holly's top 10 tips for driving growth. First of all, 4 types of growth strategies: viral, content, paid, and platform. 9 criteria to choose the right growth strategies: product, resource, and timing. Prioritize different growth strategies at different stages. Early on, prioritize viral and content. After product market fit, paid. And as you scale, think about platform. And pay for growth at the right time. At early stage, think about using paid as a test. At growth stage, using paid as acceleration. And at mature stage, using paid as a defense mechanism. 5, paid media channels need to work holistically. It's not to say which media channels are more effective, but they need to work together to really drive the top of funnel awareness and driving people down funnel to conversion. Attribution is key. Really think through how do you give credits to different touch points in your media funnel so that the different media funnel can get proper credit for your efforts. 7, work from the bottoms up to do performance and brand ads. Prioritize your performance to really capture the low-hanging fruit and add on brand ads to fill the pool of the users that you can target. 8, drive downstream metrics as you grow. Early on, as you don't have enough data, target traffic and users, and eventually drive a lifetime value. And 9, keep your LTV and CAC ratio at bay. Try to keep 3 to 1, and the range should be 1 to 1 to 5 to 1, depending on how aggressive you want to get in your growth stage. And finally, build the right growth team. Really think through how do you prioritize your product hires, marketing hires, and sales hires to accelerate your growth. And in final words, these are mental models to have you start thinking about growth strategies so that you can ask the right questions to your product people, marketing person, so that they are not recommending you to run millions of dollars of billboards when you're pre-product market fit. So really excited to share with you some of our learnings over time. Again, this is a very simplistic framework to get you start to thinking about things. And a lot of things are not cut and dry like this. So in practice, you have to think about your unique strategies and how you grow your startup. Thank you so much.